he discovered a sea of blood and the lifeless and icy body of Takeru lying there. He was murdered. Tateri's numb brain, which was heaving under the weight of an overwhelming sense of loss, was flooded with memories of Takeru. Takeru believed that his life was not going to get any better or worse than this. Tateri's brain was numb. He is known as Tatari. He lives on the streets and has no home or friends, with the exception of these two people. Yuki is the name of the man's younger sister, and Takeru is the name of the man. Tatari has made it a bit of a habit to come here for dinner on a daily basis. Takeru informs Tatari that the dish today that will be served is fish. Tatari arrives on the balcony, and Yuki is already sitting on her lap, with his fish ready to eat. He was extended an invitation to sit on her lap. On the other hand, Tatari immediately advances towards Takeru and sits down on his lap. Yuki is irritated by the fact that Tatari consistently chooses to go to Takeru rather than her. Takeru explains to her that it was because it has been 7 years since they first met, which means they are wonderful friends. 7 years ago, when Takeru went too far into the forest, he discovered a cat that was being attacked by a dog. If he didn't assist the cat, the dog would have no choice but to kill it. There is no question about it. Therefore, he grabbed the cat and ran away from the dog. He then climbed the fence and hid until the dog was gone. However, the cat was not in its right mind. It was extremely hungry. The cat bit into his arm. Takeru was experiencing intolerable agony. Takeru heard the cat growl at him. Nevertheless, rather than fleeing or attacking the cat, he gave it a piece of bread to eat and then walked away. Despite the fact that Takeru himself does not have a lot of money, he wears clothes that are in poor condition. He has scratches all over his face and body, and even despite that, he still helped the cat that he had never seen before, and even gave it his food. Takeru lived in a run-down house that appeared to be in danger of collapsing if a strong wind blew. The room was a mess, and there was trash all over the place. When Takeru heard the sound coming from the balcony, he is sitting in the corner of the kitchen. There is a pile of dirty dishes. Upon opening the balcony, he notices a half piece of bread on the roof. He then sees Tatari. Tatari brought his half of the bread because he was aware that Takeru had provided him with his own food. Following that, into the following day, Takeru was being bullied. Though Tatari came to his rescue and drove the bullies away by slashing them with his claws. In exchange, Takeru shared his food with Tatari once more. Takeru and his sister are both raised by different fathers. They are not even similar with their fathers' faces. Takeru's mother, she was an animalistic woman. She was a free spirit when it came to men, but her promiscuity ultimately led to her downfall, and she passed away with an STD without much of a struggle. Takeru was tasked with the responsibility of raising his younger sister when he was 15 years old. Despite this, their misfortune did not come to an end at this point. After some time had passed, he discovered that Yuki had a congenital disease. As a consequence of this, some of her organs will not endure until she reaches adulthood. In addition, due to the fact that their fathers were not identical, Tateru's organs were not suitable for her. While his contemporaries of the same age played games and lived with their youth, Takeru wielded a hammer and axe that was covered in mud. Despite everything that has happened, Takeru had never once expressed dissatisfaction with his life. Even watching Yuki stuff her face with food gives the impression that she is content. Yuki expresses her desire to touch Tatari as well. Takeru reveals to her that Tatari doesn't like it when Yuki touches him an excessive amount. According to Yuki, she doesn't poke him very often, though she begins to cry. Her eyes well up with tears. Tatari, upon seeing her face, immediately jumped into her lap. Yuki began to joyfully stroke him. This was the life that they lived together, which was challenging but ultimately fulfilling. Though, Takeru was murdered not long after this. The fact that Takeru was running late led Tatari to believe that he was aimlessly wandering around. He went in search of him. However, when they arrived at the material storage facility that was located close to the mountain, he discovered a sea of blood and the lifeless and icy body of Takeru lying there. The fact that a sharp object was used to slash his neck made it abundantly clear that he was murdered. But why is that? Takeru was not the kind of person who'd experience such a high level of hatred from another person. At the very least, he was not the type of person who would pass away in such a manner. Tateri's numb brain, which was heaving under the weight of an overwhelming sense of loss, was flooded with memories of Takeru. Takeru believed that his life was not going to get any better or worse than this. Tateri's brain was numb. Life is like a set of gears, and he is probably going to be walking in that circle. However, he has resolved himself to get Yuki out of the circle and cure her disease, so that one day she can find a good man and be happy forever. But now that he is dead, what will happen to his little sister? Would she simply wait around for her illness to take her life? Tateri licks Takeru's blood and transforms into Takeru. Takeru must have had a lot of regrets when he passed away. Let me tell you something. Tateri is not your typical cat. In reality, he is a yokai, which is a type of monster cat that has the ability to transform into a human by drinking the blood of a person who is angry. 1,000 years ago, he was feared as a great yokai in the city of Kyoto, which is the capital of Japan. However, because he was causing a lot of chaos, he was sealed by Onmyoji, a group of superhumans who deal with yokai. And after 1,000 years, he was finally able to escape the spell that was placed on him. On the other hand, he was seriously weakened, to the point where he was incapable of defeating a stray dog. At this point, Takeru came to his aid. Tateri closes Takeru's eyes and goes to find his killer. Tateri is sitting on a couch. He discovers the person who had killed Takeru. He is standing in front of him. Tateri is shocked to see that Takeru has been murdered. Takeru's throat was slit by the murderer himself, and he is unable to accept the fact that he is still alive. He is perplexed as to how he arrived at this location. Tateri determined the location by following the scent that was left on Takeru, and it brought him here. The man lived in a luxurious apartment that was not only able to meet all of the fundamental requirements, but also included a few elements of luxury. The one bedroom is furnished with 14 tatami mats. There is a bidet attached to the toilet, and the bathtub has a function that allows it to be heated up. Because this is an induction cooker, there is no need to be concerned about gas leaks occurring on the stove. I don't understand why someone who lives a comfortable life would intentionally kill other people. The murderer receives the knife that is fastened around his ankle. Despite his best efforts, he is unable to attack Tateri because his claws had severed his fingers. Instantaneously, Tateri confronts him about the question of why he had killed Takeru. Although he was filled with fear, the man started to speak. The individual was a goon who had traveled all the way from Hong Kong. The head of the mafia in China, who is in charge of the criminal underworld, is reportedly in critical condition. According to him, while the boss was still alive, his will and testament were read aloud in front of his family members or other relatives. In addition to the fact that Takeru's name was included on the list of inheritors, he stated, his own wealth will be distributed equally among his children. His father, who had a business trip to Japan, and his mother, who worked in the entertainment industry, were the parents of his biological child. It was Takeru who was that child. When it comes to the foreign son who shared his blood, despite having a different appearance, it appears that in the end, it was an act of parental affection to pass on the inheritance to him. Nevertheless, it was precisely this act of affection that ultimately resulted in Takeru's demise. The process of thinning out among the heirs was initiated in an effort to increase the share of the inheritance before the boss passed away. Tateri inquires of him whether there are other assassins behind himself, and one of them is the one who dispatched the assassin to put an end to Takeru's life. He claims that there are none. Due to the fact that Takeru was a typical child, he should have been sufficient on his own. Tateri inquires as to whether or not he has informed the customer about his passing. In response, he responded with a positive answer. Tateri then presented him with a notepad and a pen and requested that he record everything that he is aware of. However, because his fingers had been severed, he is unable to write. In order to accomplish this, he hands over Takeru's phone and requests that he jot it down in his memo. The assassin complied with Tateri's request. He begs for his life, attempting to elicit his compassion by involving his own family in the situation through his pleas. In the meantime, he's attempting to grab the knife that is next to him, while he is saying that his siblings are waiting for him at the house. Tatari, on the other hand, slashed at his neck without any hesitation, which resulted in the pulverization of half of his neck, resulting in his instantaneous death. When all was said and done, Takeru also had a sister, whom he desired to bring joy to. But he is no longer there. In spite of the fact that Tatari is a yokai who gains strength by drinking blood with resentment, he will now walk away by himself as a result of this unfortunate individual. He was adamant about not taking even a single drop of his blood. At home, Yuki is perplexed as to why Tatari has not yet come home, despite the fact that it is already time for dinner. She inquires with her brother about whether or not he was aware of anything. Despite this, Tatari is preoccupied with his own thoughts. Since he is a cat and a yokai, he does not require money. However, this inheritance money will undoubtedly assist Yuki in living a good life and in curing her illness. He makes the decision to fulfill the wish that Takeru had, of making Yuki happy and to acquire all of the inheritance money that the mafia has. Yuki kicks him from behind for not listening to her while she is speaking. She asks him if he is aware of the reason of why Tatari is not coming today. After they finished eating dinner, Tatari lies to Yuki and tells her that he passed away as a result of being struck by a car. Upon hearing that he had buried his remains behind the mountain, she expressed her desire to visit Tatari for one final time. However, by stating that it is late tonight, he was able to bring her back to a steady state of calm. In an effort to comfort her, Tatari tells her that even though he is no longer physically present in this world, he is still in their hearts. In a particular location in Hong Kong, the client, who had requested Tatari's assassination, receives a message confirming that he has passed away. There is a photo that is attached to the message. It serves as evidence. He hands the phone to his colleague who is sitting on the opposite side of the table, so that she can see the photo. Tatari's untimely passing is a source of sorrow for the woman. Despite the fact that he was the son of a mafia boss, in the end, he did not have any power, money, or backing. He was just a kid born from a casual affair. On the other hand, he himself possessed an overwhelming military power and a monster by his side. There are 7 people who have the right to inherit the inheritance, including this man. The woman freezes the entire table and says that from her vantage point as a yokai, it is the humans who share the same blood and kill each other for money are quite a bit more vicious. The woman discovers a story when she examines the photograph of Takeru's dead body in great detail. She says that it would be beneficial if they did not step on it. His objective is to eliminate all of them and become the king of the underworld. It is necessary for Tatari to ensure that no one discovers his true identity in order to make Takeru's dream of curing his sister's illness and making her happy a reality. Because of this, he is currently on his way to school at this very moment. The yokai, known as 3 Crows on the other hand, is able to see right through him. The crow has 3 heads, with 3 eyes in the middle head. Tatari ignores the crow and continues to walk while it is sitting on top of an electrical pole. It asks Tatari why he is wearing a human skin, and if there's something interesting going on. In light of the fact that he is attempting to lead a normal life, conversing with the crow will make him appear strange. Nevertheless, the crow continues to provoke Tatari by stating that it is impossible for a yokai to live as a human, particularly if it's Tatari, and that this farce will not even last a single day. The 3 heads of the crow make bets on half a day, a quarter of a day, and 1 whole day. Though Tatari has reached the end of his patience, he threatens to devour the crows if they do not get lost right away. Fearing for their lives, the crows ran away, claiming that he has already shown his true characteristics. As Takeru continues on his way to school, he can't help but reflect on the comments made about the crowd. But he finds himself in disagreement with them. After 7 years of being together, Takeru and Tatari were still together. According to him, there is nothing about him that he is unable to portray with ease. As he approaches, the instructor yells out to him and instructs him to adjust his posture. However, because he is preoccupied with other thoughts, he did not hear him. However, once the instructor addresses him by his name, Takeru, he makes an effort to pay attention and is subsequently reprimanded for his posture and for not paying attention to the instructor. As soon as he walked into his class, 1A, he made an effort to locate his seat. It didn't take him long to locate his seat, as it was covered in curse words that had been written by individuals who were bullying Takeru. One of the shoes is thrown at him from behind as soon as he takes a seat. After turning his head, Tatari notices a group of individuals, consisting of 3 men and a woman. With a large build and hair that is almost completely shaved, the man who is sitting in front of Tatari asks why he did not greet them today. It is necessary for Tatari to greet them, so he inquires about their identities. Each and every student in the class, including the bullies themselves, is taken aback by the fact that Takeru responded to them. It is possible that Takeru is still half asleep, according to the man. Takeru's request that they introduce themselves, however, puts an end to any uncertainty that may have existed. The man approaches Tatari and grabs him by the collar. The man has been Takeru's classmate ever since they were in middle school, and he's about to remind him of exactly who he is at this very moment right now. Tatari used his sharp claws and speed to cut his belt down, which resulted in his pants falling in front of the entire class. At least he would have tried to get them back on if he hadn't fallen in the next moment. Next, he brings him down to the ground with a kick. When one examines his underwear in greater detail, he notices that it bears a small bear on it, which is made fun of by Tatari, who says, "The guy with bear briefs. I'll make sure to remember him." Despite the fact that this infuriates the man, the instructor walks into the classroom before he has a chance to respond. Following his examination of this peculiar scene, the instructor inquires as to what is taking place. It is revealed to him by Tatari that his belt became unfastened, and his pants fell off. The hostile bully is only able to think about exacting his vengeance on Takeru, despite the fact that everyone else has taken their seats and that class has finally begun. Following the conclusion of the first class, it is necessary for everyone to proceed to the subsequent class. Nevertheless, because Tatari is unaware of the location of the class, he simply follows the other students. From behind, a hand reaches out and grabs his shoulder. His initial assumption was that it was the man who was wearing the bear briefs. On the other hand, when he turned around, he saw a man who he had never spotted before. Then he inquires about his identity. Kawano is the self-identified name of the individual. This individual is a member of the same class as Takeru and sits directly next to him. It is Kawano who compliments him on his ability to make the bully look foolish. Using the excuse that he just got lucky, Tatari acts like a fool, despite the fact that Kawano does not press him any further. It appears that he has something he would like to convey to him. Kawano is the type of person who isn't timid. When he speaks, he expresses his genuine thoughts and emotions. Tatari is informed by him that he has always found Takeru to be a creepy person. In spite of the fact that he was being bullied, he didn't fight back, and instead pretended that he didn't care. Having to look at Takeru in such a manner was extremely frustrating for him. In contrast, he came to the realization that he could have fought back whenever he wanted, but he chose not to do so, today when he witnessed Takeru fighting back. Because of this, he believes Takeru is the most charitable person in the world. Tatari is excited when he hears something positive about his Takeru from another person, and he begins to ramble on about how Takeru is kind to both humans and animals, despite the fact that these are his personal thoughts. He did not stop to intervene him, so he feels pathetic regarding the situation. And he asks Tatari if he is in fact Takeru. Tatari shifts the conversation and mentions that they are running behind schedule for the class. He walks in the wrong direction, so Kawano guides him to class thinking he was joking. In the class, Tatari couldn't find the troublesome group of bullies. Kawano mentions that they rarely attend the class, although it makes it more comfortable for the atmosphere for anyone else if they are not around. As a result of the fact that the girl comes from a wealthy family, the school is eager to appear favorable to her behavior. The reason they do not punish her and her group is because of this. During break time, while making a map of the school, Tatari thinks that if he had more information about the school, then that would be good. But there's no need to be impatient, as he's going to investigate everything from now on. Upon entering the classroom, he finds the Onizuka group waiting for him. The bear underwear guy attempts to punch Tatari, but he avoids him without any effort. He asks Tatari to stop avoiding his punches, but he doesn't have any reason to get punched willingly by him. The bear underwear guy accuses Tatari of stealing Futaba's wallet. Tatari obviously denied it, but they found the wallet in his desk to back up his claim. He has the whole class as witness, though Tatari says it's a false accusation. The bear briefs guy gets angry, but before that, according to him, obviously the Onizuka group is trying to set this up. As a form of retribution, Mike places his lunch money or wallet in the bully's desk, and no one in the class believes that Tatari stole anything. This kind of thing is common in mangas and dramas, and it is also common in real life. They are simply afraid of the bullies. The bullies, realizing that their plan was not going to work out as planned, made the decision to implement their plan B. The girl begins to cry and declares that she is the victim in the situation. In light of the fact that their plan B consisted of a woman's tears, the bear briefs guy grabs his collar for causing Futaba to cry during the incident. But just as he is about to strike him, the instructor walks into the classroom. One more time, we are looking at this chaotic situation with Onizuka. The teacher inquires about what is taking place. When Kawano makes an attempt to explain, Onizuka interrupts him. He claims that Tatari stole Futaba's wallet. The teacher takes a look at Tatari and tells him that it is not appropriate for him to steal, regardless of the fact that he is poor. But then Onizuka notices that Tatari is doing something on his phone and was not paying attention to the situation. At precisely the same moment, a notification is sent to each and every phone. The contents of the video that Tatari had sent to Onizuka come in as a complete surprise to him when he opens it. Throughout the video, the Onizuka group discusses their strategy to frame Tatari of the crime, whether it be Futaba crying or planting evidence in his desk. Everything is captured in a clear and concise manner. By listening with his cat ears, Tatari was able to hear the bullies plotting their next move before the break could even begin. Therefore, he went outside with the pretext that he needed to use the restroom. Following that, he went to the roof, where he used his left hand to record their plan in the classroom while his right hand was used to hang from the wall. Now that the situation is clear, Tatari strongly encourages the teacher to take action. A teacher requests the individuals who are seen in the video to come to the staff room at a later time. Following the conclusion of the school day, the Onizuka group requests that Tatari accompany them to the roof of the school. Tatari begins to believe that it would be annoying if they came after him again, and he has more important things to do than this. The fight was not even worth showing because they were utterly destroyed by Tatari, and the only person who remained standing was the girl. In light of the fact that the most effective way to deal with this situation would be to not leave any corpses behind, he considers eating them. Tatari is amused by the fact that his prophecy has come true, and 3 crows land in the water tank beside him. Tatari moves forward with the intention of taking her life. Because she does not want to be looked down upon by a poor person like Tatari, the terrified girl threatens to jump off the roof if he comes any closer, after she has already threatened to do so. It was at that moment that the old fence collapsed, causing Futaba to fall from the roof. She calls for assistance. Tatari would not be able to assist her, because the only witness who saw him beat the guys had passed away unexpectedly. The only thing that will be left for him to do is to take care of the guys in his own unique way. It is then that there will be no evidence left, and above all, the people who oppressed Tatari will perish. However, a figure that is similar to Tatari stops him, as he recalls that Tatari was not the kind of person who would want something like this. As a result, he grabs the woman and instructs her to keep her mouth and eyes shut. Kawano was texting Tatari while he was standing outside, when Tatari, who was carrying Futaba at the time, landed next to him. She looked up and saw the fence falling directly at him. Tatari then used his cat claw technique to slash the fence into multiple pieces, thereby saving both Futaba and Kawano. Hearing the noise, the people gathered together to find Futaba on top of Kawano. The next day, he becomes the hero who saved a fallen girl. Kawano himself played the role of a hero and told people of his part in the exaggerated story. Futaba lost consciousness the way down, so she herself didn't know what happened. However, there are a myriad of rumors that have begun to circulate, such as the fact that it was the result of bullying or that it was suicide, and that there was another person who fell. Tatari goes to look around the school for more information, despite the fact that she must live a normal life without drawing attention to herself. At this rate, the future appears to be a bleak one. He received another reprimand from the instructor for his hunched posture as he was on his way. The following day, while Tatari is sleeping, he experiences the warm sensation of being held by Takeru. However, when he wakes up, he discovers Yuki is sleeping next to him. He wakes Yuki up and asks her why she is sitting on his futon. Yuki, upon waking up, realizes that she was sleeping. She moved to her brother's futon and now she feels embarrassed about it, though Yuki quickly coughs up blood as a result of the sudden stimulation. But Tatari manages to calm her down in some way. After some time has passed, Tatari is working on his schoolwork, while Yuki is watching cooking videos. Yuki then approaches Tatari and tells him that she is going to make dinner for today. It is clear that Tatari is taken aback by Yuki's sudden interest in cooking, given that she has never been a participant in the kitchen before. He inquires as to the reason of why she would want to cook. She responds that it is because she has some spare time. She is then given a cup of noodles by Tatari, who also provides her with instructions. However, Yuki cautions her not to underestimate her abilities. Yuki is interested in preparing food that can be heated in the oven, boiled, and cut with a knife. She continues to make the food, despite Tatari's warnings that it is risky. Yuki is forced to stand on a stool on her toes because she is too short to reach the kitchen platform. Yuki cuts the potatoes in a manner that is both extremely risky and incorrect. Tatari instructs her to first stabilize the potato by cutting it in half, and then to remove the potato spores from between the two halves. He inquires as to whether or not she would like him to carry out the task for her. Tatari is asked to refrain from distracting Yuki while she has the knife in her hand. Tatari asks her to stop waving the knife as it is dangerous. Yuki is confident that she can cook as she's studying home economics. Even if she's not as skillful as her older brother from the beginning, she can at least cook, though Tatari remembers the time when Kakeru was learning to cook. When he first started cooking, the food wasn't even edible. Tatari and Kakeru have been taking care of Yuki in place of his mother, who didn't have much experience in the field. In the event that Kakeru's mother brought a man into the house, they were confined to the backyard, regardless of the time. Yuki messed up her diaper one day when Kakeru was outdoors in the park. They were out of diapers at the time. Kakeru witnessed two mothers taking their children for a stroll while they were out and about. After running towards them, Tatari lied down on his stomach and rolled over. Their hearts skipped a beat because of his adorableness. Then Kakeru, who was holding Yuki in his arms, inquired as to whether or not he could buy some diapers. When one takes a look at these adorable siblings with teary eyes, it's impossible to say no to them. That little Yuki, who used to crawl around, is now big enough to cook for her older brother. Yuki noticed that her brother was staring at her. She asked him to stop because she thought it was disgusting. To a greater extent than anything else, Tatari was thrilled by Yuki's development. He would still be in this place if it weren't for that war over who would succeed him. It would have been a dream come true for Tatari to be able to show him the scene. Yuki went to open the door after hearing the doorbell ring, though she is stopped by Tatari, who informs her that the pot is about to boil over. On her way to check on her cooking, she goes. As soon as Tatari opens the door, he discovers the yokai of the customer who had dispatched the personal killer. Tatari immediately closes the door and punches her right in the abdomen after she has finished looking at him. On the other hand, the woman had vanished. The only thing that remained behind was her coat. Tatari inquires about her identity, despite the fact that this is a question that most people ask before punching someone. To Tatari, it was nothing more than a greeting, and the woman has her own way of greeting as well. Tatari looks at his left arm, which is now covered in ice. In the event that this woman was able to arrive at this conclusion, does this imply that he is also of the same kind? He inquires of her whether or not she is a monster. On the other hand, his sense of smell and his presence are entirely human-like. Following that, she brings up the Mafia succession war, as well as the name Birutaru. Birutaru is the name of the client that the assassin informed Tatari about, and Setsuna Anderson is his exclusive yokai. After hearing this, Tatari makes the decision to obtain information from her. As the conflict progressed, the Mafia discovered that all the information they had about Tatari was completely ineffective. On the other hand, the man who stood in front of her with sharp claws and teeth was not at all like any other human being. According to them, he was a typical human being in every way. It was Tatari who broke the ice with a simple headbutt, despite the fact that she materialized and threw a large chunk of ice at him. He then proceeds to slash her with his claw, but she stops him in his tracks by freezing his shoulder. She is not particularly quick. Nonetheless, Tatari is attempting to capture her alive in order to obtain information concerning other heirs and yokai. Since he is unsure of the amount of information that has been disclosed on their end, this presents an excellent opportunity for him to acquire this information. The woman is aware that he is attempting to take her life, but she traveled to Japan with the intentions of engaging in a fight that would both be serious and enjoyable. She ponders what she needs to do in order to get him serious. Then, she comes up with an idea, as there is one person who is missing this fight, and that is Yuki. Although she is unrelated to the succession war, since they have different fathers, she doesn't hesitate in bringing innocent people in this for her amusement. As the kanji for Yuki also means snow, she mentions that they might now be able to become friends. Tatari calls her an idiot and tells her that Yuki does not stand for snow. It stands for happiness. May you be happier than anyone else. With that in mind, he and Kakeru named and raised her together. Tatari warns her that if she lays even a finger on her, he will curse her. An immense amount of palpable bloodlust was directed upon the woman. Ordinary people would be frozen with fear and unable to move. Facing this heavy pressure, the woman's body instinctively reacted and attacked first. That, however, was a decision that should not have been made. Tatari utilized his cat claw technique, which resulted in the breaking of the enormous ice, as well as the upper body of the woman. Due to the fact that he was supposed to elicit information from her, Tatari feels a bit of regret for his actions. However, the remaining portion of her body transforms into snow. The real yokai woman loses the game at a game center in Hong Kong, after winning 56 games in a row. As a result of the fact that he is unaware of the length of time that the Snow Woman was in Japan, they are now under the impression that Takeru is still alive. She wonders if that unbelievable monster was the exclusive yokai of Takeru, and if the real Takeru is alive or dead. Birutaru comes in the game center and shouts at her for leaving him despite being his guard. She goes back to her job and makes her mind to take revenge. She wonders how to use this exclusive information. However, before he can proceed with that, there is another matter that he must attend to. When a ball gets close to him, the people who are playing ask him to pass the ball to them. Although he throws the ball with a light touch, they are unable to even determine where it went. Tatari is overcome with fear and makes an attempt to pass it off as a magic trick. However, his poor performance gives the impression that he is suffering from the middle school syndrome. Due to the fact that it has well been over 1,000 years since he last assumed the form of a human, his ability to control his strength is terrible. In addition, there is a fitness test at school today. Although this presents him with the opportunity to learn how to control his strength, there are also various risks involved. If even a single test reveals that he has been acting in an inhumane manner, he will be exposed. It is therefore today, right now, that he will recall once more how to exercise control over his strength. The first test is the standing long jump. When it is his turn, he is shocked to see that the distance he has to jump is rather short. In his current condition, if he jumps even with the least effort, he will most likely break the world record and attract a lot of attention to himself in the process. On the other hand, if he does something and then tries to back out of it, it will also look suspicious. Kawano tells him to leave because it is now his turn to do something. He is unable to retract his decision. One of his goals is to achieve the highest possible average score, and in order to achieve that goal, he must first address their curious gazes. It's fortunate for him that the examinations for boys and girls are being administered separately. In that case, this would not have been successful. But it is a very dangerous but effective strategy that ensures victory over men. He points in a particular direction and tells them that there is a girl whose belly button is exposed. Number 1. This is a technique that guarantees victory over men. And once he has successfully diverted their attention, he uses all of his strength to keep his strength in check. And instead of leaping forward, he leaps up. Tatari appears to the examiner as though he was floating for a brief moment. Tatari goes to Kawano and the others, and it is likely that he is imagining things because there is no navel to be seen. The distance he manages to jump is 216 centimeters. After leaving behind the examiner who witnessed his vertical jump confused, he left. After that, he makes every effort to maintain his composure throughout the remaining examinations, in spite of the fact that he has broken the device that measures grip strength. The ball exploded when he threw it in the softball game for the first time. With the exception of that, everything else was alright, at least for the most part. Following the completion of all the challenging tests, he has achieved mastery in the art of adjusting his strength to 89%. And with the completion of the last test, he will at long last be able to adapt to his human framework. This is the final test, which is a mixed gender run for a distance of 1,500 meters, with no difficulty whatsoever. It is sufficient to simply run and keep up with the speed of the average person. This is a living hell for Kawano, who is the epitome of a non-athletic person, and as a result always finishes last. Tatari has an idea. If he continues to use Kawano, he will also receive a score that is considered to be very average. Therefore, he assures him that he will continue to run alongside him until the very end, a phrase that is frequently used by individuals who have a tendency to betray others during marathons. At the precise moment he said that, a rather cute girl ran past him. At that very moment, Tatari was completely enthralled by her. Her name is Hayami. She is well known for breaking the record that has been held by most boys in their particular middle school. He is infatuated with her, not because of her physical appearance, but rather it is because of her hair, which is reminiscent of the toy that he used to play with Tatari. As a result, all of his thoughts about not standing out are thrown out the window. His instincts related to hunting take over. In addition to that, he goes to play with her ponytail. Kawano, on the other hand, was abandoned in the dust after being betrayed by his friend. According to some theories, turtles are unable to move backward due to the structure of their bodies. The unfortunate truth is that they are also unable to see what lies behind the shells. It's not a problem though. The turtle was able to beat the rabbit in the race precisely because it had only moved forward. Move forward bravely. These were Hayami's favorite words and therefore became her ideal. But right now, her faith has been shaken as she feels someone chasing behind her. She is interested in looking behind her to determine who possesses the ability to keep up with her speed. Would they actually be able to think? When she was in middle school, she was the unrivaled champion of the track and field competition. Not even boys could defeat her. Her pride in being a runner is far more powerful than any other emotion she could possibly experience. The fact that she launched herself as if she were the Usain Bolt was a strange sight for everyone to see because this is an endurance run. But these two are running as if it was a short distance sprint. Her curiosity to look back was literally left behind as she launched herself. After everything is said and done, she's unable to shake him off. She finally looks back. Not out of curiosity, but rather the sense of impending danger. She then discovers Takeru dashing behind her. Tatari finally comes to his senses upon hearing her call his name. Due to the fact that she was distracted, she stumbled and fell to the ground. This 1,000-year-old yokai comes up with a brilliant idea to resolve the situation. And that is by telling her that he was captivated by her beautiful hair. And as they are attracting a lot of attention, this poor yokai comes up with the aforementioned strategy. In any case, after he has basically just admitted his guilt to her, he makes an attempt to flee the scene. I have to say, the man has some game. However, she grabbed his hand and asked him if he would be willing to participate in a running competition with her and her team. No one can compete against her in running, not even the seniors. But he was fast enough to keep up with her. And so, she is inviting him because of his talent. However, Tatari doesn't have the time to play around in some club. Right now, he has to find a way to deal with the inheritance war and find a way to go to Hong Kong. She further tells him that he might be able to enter the Asian Athletics Championship held in Hong Kong if he does well. And just like that, his ticket to Hong Kong is decided. In the meantime, a group of people attack a building in Hong Kong. The guards, who are armed with a large number of assault rifles, are unable to do anything because there is a yokai, who has the ability to deflect bullets. However, no one is killed because of Setsuna, who is also known as the Snow Woman, and the exclusive yokai, Abarutaru. She had just arrived in the nick of time to save the day. The question that Barutara asks his sibling is whether or not they are here to start a war. However, his sister tells them that they are here with their yokais in order to invite him to a dinner. After all, it has been quite some time since they have been together. She let them know that they would be meeting in 3 days, and after that, they left. When the coach of the track and field team is at school, she calls out to someone on her brand new iPhone 14 Pro Max Ultra, which is now obsolete due to the imminent release of the iPhone 16, and tells him to change the list of participants who are going to be competing in the competition. She wants to include Tatari as well, as she has witnessed his incredible speed and endurance. When he joined the club, everyone thought he was here to just be around Hayami, since he had no prior experience. But he wowed the floor, even the fastest third-year students. The third-year student whom Tatari had just beaten to take his place feels bitter towards him, as it took him years of practice to be able to qualify for this competition, and it's his fault for being slower than a yokai. So, screw him. And with this, Tatari's ticket to Hong Kong is set. Despite the fact that Hayami was the one who invited him to the club, she is still surprised by how fast he is. Tatari makes up excuses and tells him that he's been working a variety of jobs ever since he was a child, and that babysitting his sister also contributed to the development of his legs. Then she realized what she had just said, and she became embarrassed. However, that helped Tatari remember that she was in the same class as Takeru when they were both in elementary school. Hayami recalls that he was quite athletic, even when he was in elementary school. He even won first place at a running competition. Even though they were in the same class, he confronts her on the question of why she has not been talking to him all this time. And it seems that this reason is that Hayami was embarrassed because she was a chubby kid when she was in elementary school, and now she has changed a lot. In addition to that, she was being bullied because of her body shape back then, and that is when Takeru came to her defense. As a result of this, he became the target of bullying instead, and as a result, she didn't want to show her face in front of him. Tatari, however, reassures her that Takeru was already being bullied due to the fact that he came from an economically disadvantaged family. On the contrary, he is grateful for her help. Back then, when Tatari went to Takeru's school, he noticed that his desk was covered in insults. At the moment, he was contemplating killing those bastards. At that moment, he saw a young and chubby Hayami enter the classroom. She cleaned Takeru's desk. She arrived at school early every day to clean his desk, and he remembers her as a nice girl. Because of this, he was able to recognize her right away. Although she claims that she has changed, he perceives her to be the same, including her smell. This is not the kind of thing you say to a lady. Wouldn't you agree? Hayami's memories from her elementary school days resurfaced. She ran off crying because of her embarrassment. After breaking her heart, he goes to his class, and there is a new spotless desk for him, which is nowhere near enough compensation for all the shit he had to go through because of the Onizuka gang. Oh, and that fancy glasses excuse of a teacher. Anyway, Tatari takes a look at the Onizuka group. They are terrified of him, and Kawano updates him on another new, apparently, a new transfer student who had been assigned to the class. While he was in the club, a guy with fancy glasses approached him and asked if he had seen a guy with short hair who was wearing a school uniform. It appears that there was a brief moment of distraction on his part, and the guy disappeared. The individual appears behind them and announces that his name is Abe. Tatari is frightened by his aura because it is comparable to the group of the Onmyoji that sealed him 1,000 years ago. Kawano tries to remember his name, but he's unable to do so. At the same time, Tatari is preparing himself for battle, attempting to stand up. Abe uses his inhuman strength to push him down and then asks Tatari how a yokai came to be in this location. After that, just in the nick of time, Fancy Pants McGlasses walks into the room and inquires about Abe's whereabouts. Abe responds that he has just been lost and apologizes to Fancy Glasses. For the purpose of introducing himself, Fancy Glasses requests that he comes forward. He introduces himself as Hakura Abeeno, descendant of the Onmyoji. During the lunch break, Kawano goes to take a shit. He believes that if he doesn't, he will be full of it. Abe continues to move forward, but he tells Tatari that their conversation is not yet over, through some magic paper doll. On the other hand, when he returns, he discovers that his seat has been taken by the girls who are gushing over Abe. Because he described himself as an Onmyoji, everyone is interested in him. And just a few days ago, Kawano made his appearance in his place. Nevertheless, the trend has shifted, and he is once again hiding in the shadows. A young lady inquires of Abe whether Tatari is his friend, given that they had been discussing yokai earlier. Abe tells Tatari that they are best friends, which is because they are such good friends. He asks Tatari to show him around the school. While they're walking in the hallway, Tatari asks Abe how they came to the conclusion that he is a yokai. Tatari tries to deny it, but Abe says that they are best friends. Abe claims that he is able to recognize the difference simply by observing it. But this is not a logical statement, given that Tatari is able to undergo a genetic transformation through the consumption of blood, in contrast to other yokai who merely imitate their outward appearance. On the other hand, here's the thing. Tatari is referring to the exterior, and Onmyoji are able to look at the soul directly. Yokai souls are distinct from human souls in terms of their size, color, and shape. Therefore, regardless of how they appear, they are unable to perceive their true nature. The exorcists who sealed him 1,000 years ago are known as Onmyoji. Despite this, Tatari does not hold that against them. That was a very long time ago. He doesn't remember their names or faces, and is also responsible for the chaos that he caused through his actions. He, on the other hand, is thankful that they gave him the opportunity to meet Takeru. Tatari leads him to the chemistry room, since no one can see them there. Without any conversation, Abe starts to throw a talisman at him, which causes him to be immobile and unable to move. After that, he punches him in the face as a follow-up. A portion of Tatari's face is melted away by the punch. The belt that Abe possesses is called the Divine Belt, and it is very effective against yokai in combat. The effect is immediate, regardless of whether Tatari is in human form or not. Abe possesses a nail that is wrapped in his Divine Belt in order to further prevent him from struggling. He will continue to punch him until Tatari is unable to move even a muscle. Following that, he proceeds to finish him off by chopping off his neck. Tatari, however, strikes him by transforming his arm into a gigantic claw, resembling that of a cat. Tatari has been attempting to negotiate with Abe in order to put an end to all of this nonsense, because he needs to be recognized as a normal human being. No, that is not the case. At this point, he's going to kill this bastard first. After that, you should think about all the complicated things later. No one will be able to disturb them at this time, because Abe has made certain that a large number of charms, having the effect of silence, invisibility, and the elimination of evil, have been placed both inside and outside of them. Tatari makes an attempt to attack Abe with his claws, but Abe throws a tube that sprays sacred sake on Tatari, burning his eyes. After that, Abe follows up with an attack to his spine, which sends him flying into the wall. This level of strength should be impossible for a human being to possess. Then, Tatari notices the body enhancement spell that is engraved on his back. It is then that makes his strength make sense. Tatari goes to attack him once more, but Abe binds him with a divine belt and chants a spell to electrocute him. With his movement sealed, Abe goes to finish him, though he is met with an unexpected attack. When Abe checks to see what hit him, he is surprised to see a tail that is strong enough to break through the ground in one hit. Abe has sustained a significant amount of damage as a result of this attack. The spell that was intended to halt Tatari's movements was not as effective as he thought. Abe, on the other hand, quickly wraps a number of talismans with a divine belt around a desk and uses it as a shield. Should Tatari come into contact with it, he will suffer severe burns. Abe is getting ready to attack Tatari, but Tatari decides that his tail will heal regardless. He breaks through the desk and knocks Abe out. Abe's injuries are so severe that he is unable to stand up. Tatari hesitates for a moment. It never occurred to him that he would be murdered on his first day at this new school. Even though he will be fine after getting some rest, it does not appear that he will have the opportunity to do so. The only option left is for Tatari to take his life. Despite the fact that his abilities have far surpassed his expectations, there is no assurance that he will not strike when it is least expected in the future. What is more important is the fact that he is aware of his true identity. He is able to get rid of the body by eating it, and despite the fact that a lot of people saw them together, he will be able to come up with a lot of explanations. Nothing is wrong if there's no body. It is far too dangerous to allow him to continue living. But, once again, he sees Kakeru's shadow. And although he already knows Kakeru would never hit his classmate, at this time, his thinking is interrupted by Abe, who tells Tatari that after his death, others will take his place, and that he is the weakest among the 4 heavenly kings. He tells him to sleep with his eyes open, as they will strike Tatari when least expected. Now that his epilogue is finished, Abe asks Tatari to kill him. On the other hand, is it that he would rather torture him first? In the event that that is the case, Abe is going to consume the poison that is concealed in his back tooth. Just kidding. There is no such thing. Tatari has already knocked out 3 of his teeth on his own. This individual has a lot of humor for someone who's on the verge of passing away. Tatari wonders if he is aware of the circumstances in which he is currently operating in order to make these jokes like this. Abe, however, claims that he is aware of it. Tools that are no longer useful should be thrown away, just like the nails and talismans that are lying around and torn. These exorcists are nothing but walking tools, expendable, easy to replace, and no one will mourn after their death. Tatari breaks the ground beside Abe's face. He tells him to shut up. Look at him. He's bleeding away and calling himself a tool. No matter how shitty your life is, even if you feel unwanted, as long as you are alive, you always have someone here for you. No matter if you are human or yokai, if you pass away, someone will be saddened by your passing. It was clear to Abe that Tatari's assumption was one that was not only flawed, but also primarily motivated by self-interest. Tatari, on the other hand, must have faith in this in order for him to be able to further his progression. When Tatari goes to open the door, he's taken aback by the fact that all of the evil talisman have been removed. After suffering from a number of pains and burns, he's finally able to open the door and leave. Abe is still unable to comprehend what has just taken place. A yokai that is not hostile towards human and even to onmyoji. He does not kill, he does not torture, and does not intend to cause any harm to anyone and everything. That is a whole new experience. Tatari went to his class, and Kawano inquired about the nature of the school trip that must have just been taken for him to end up in such a state. Tatari's justification is that he just fell down the stairs. If this is the kind of explanation that he was about to give after killing Abe, he certainly would have been prosecuted. Sadly, Kawano is not stupid enough to believe that and asks him what really happened. After assuring him that everything is fine, Tatari sits down in his chair, only to begin experiencing severe pain in his buttocks. And when I say butt, I mean his tail. However, there are some individuals who are misinterpreting this situation. And now, after putting the pieces of the puzzle together, they have arrived at the incorrect conclusion. When Abe finally arrives, he's completely clean and uncluttered. He doesn't have a single scratch on him, and even all of his injuries have seemingly vanished. He comes near Tatari and apologizes for being so rough, and that gives even more credibility to their imagination. Something tells me that these girls are big fans of yaoi. Abe goes to his seat after leaving a paper doll on Tatari's shoulder. He tells him through the paper that since Tatari left him alive, he will let him off the hook. He will, however, keep a close eye on him. In the event that something unfortunate takes place at this school, Tatari will be responsible for the deaths of both of them. Tatari shatters the paper doll and... Wait. Did he say both of them? Who exactly is the other person he's referring to? In the future, we will figure that out. For the time being, let us look at the Chinese Mafia family dinner, which now includes 4 of the siblings and their exclusive yokais that are all present at the same location. However, Burataru is not interested in peace, despite the fact that one of them suggests a temporary truce for the inheritance war. It is not possible for him to possess control over the entire Chinese mafia, because he wants to do so. According to his brother, their father will not be pleased with their current situation, and he suggests that they should spend more time with their father rather than engaging in conflict with him. Furthermore, the last timid sister has stated that she will prepare to transfer her inheritance rights because she does not wish to engage in a conflict with her siblings. After all, one of them, Narakawa Takeru, has already passed away. Since Burata is staring at her, her yokai gives her a hug in an effort to make her feel secure. The waiter approaches the large man in order to take his plate, but his yokai prevents him from doing so because there is still food on the plate. However, the waiter does not consume mushrooms, which is the reason why he did not take them. And because his yokai considers it to be a waste of time, he consumes not only them, but also half the plate. His enormous build gives the impression that he is indeed powerful. Raiden is the only other person that Setsuna is familiar with at this location. In addition to him, she has never encountered anyone else. While she is looking at the timid girl, she is curious about the type of yokai that they would be. Her name is Furia Lu, but it does not matter if you forget it, as you will find out why in just a moment. Her yokai, Scrappy, noticed her stare and greeted her with a smiley face imprinted on the palm of his hand. Setsuna replied in a playful manner. Barutaru makes it clear to everyone that he is not interested in the money, but rather, he wants to have the entire criminal underworld in the palm of his hand. The testament stipulates that the inheritance will be divided among the siblings in an equal manner, following the passing of the family's primary breadwinner of the family. Consequently, if there is only one heir who is still alive after the death of our father, then he will take full control of this organization, along with the deep underworld connections in other countries. Giving up the inheritance rights does not change the fact that they share the same blood, and they will still attempt to steal their father's legacy regardless. There is no reason to keep them alive. On the other hand, if this is supposed to be a selection of a successor, then it is just Burata's speculation. Nevertheless, he is convinced that their father provided them with sufficient financial resources, political power, and fighting force to crush each other. In addition to that, he provided them with these monsters known as yokai. Just before he passed away, he handed over all of the cards to them so that they could play this game in which the last person to survive gets everything. Takeru was someone who had no power or backing, and he was just someone born from some random whore. This is the reason why he ended up killing him first. He was not born with entitlement like his siblings. He tells his sister that she should not be angry. Surprisingly, his sister tells him that regardless of his status, he is the one who is vulgar and ill-bred. She says this without any hesitation whatsoever. So who cares if one of those underbred bastards passes away? That certainly makes him mad. But that comment got a laugh from Setsuna. Burata, being the arrogant little coward that he is, definitely did not like that. He punched her in the face, which made her nose bleed, but nothing more. Though Raiden did not like that very much. He tells him to keep his fat ass away from her, or he will kill him. However, Burata tells him to go ahead and try. But in that case, she will have no choice but to defend him. That is, if she wants to live. He partially removes her coat to reveal a curse that connects her to Buruta's life. Should he pass away, she will also pass away. And in accordance with the directive of their father, the same curse has been placed on each and every other yokai as well, by a shadowy Japanese cult known as the Onmyoji at the same time. And as a result of this contract, Setsuna is unable to allow him to perish or put his life in jeopardy. Raiden, who has lost his composure, was about to attack him when his master intervened and told him to calm down. He stopped out of fear and apologized to her for going too far. Buruta compliments her on how well she is able to exercise control over her yokai, and tells her that he has no intention of bending over, as much as she would like him to. As soon as she finishes saying that, there is a waste of time to try to negotiate. He leaves the meeting. He then goes on to say that the next time they meet, he will kill everybody. Despite the fact that she has never anticipated him to become a member of the Alliance in the first place, he was still significantly more antagonistic than she had anticipated. Nevertheless, if she was successful in conveying her message through this meeting, then it would be more than sufficient for her. The three of them got ready to leave, but then the chefs and waiters entered the room. It appears that they have something to say. Burutaru, who is sitting in his car, is once again under the impression that the meeting was pointless, and that his sister is losing her grip. He gives Setsuna the order to get the troops ready for the next time they meet, but Setsuna asks him if he is certain that he is not the one losing his grip. When his sibling broke into his apartment, all he had to say was, "Have you come to start a war?" This is an incredibly stupid thing to say. War has already started to break out. It began the moment he killed Narukawa Takeru, and yet all that comes out of his mouth is next time we meet, next, always postponing it again and again. It is as if he has not realized that he is in the middle of a storm. Or could it be that he is too scared to think straight and stop escaping reality? She explains to him that being a coward is not a bad thing, but that he ought to behave in a more rational and cautious manner when it comes to life and death. It is imperative that he fastens his seatbelt whenever he is in a moving vehicle. It is important to remember that humans are relatively fragile in comparison to yokai, and it would be rather foolish for him to die in a car accident while he is attempting to take control of the entire underworld. Of course, Buruta, who is known for his thick head, is not aware of any of this. After everything that has happened, the only thing he has learned is that he needs to discipline his yokai at this very moment. He goes to beat her. It is not as if she is capable of attacking him or anything else. At the very least, that is what he believed. But in that instant, he throws them over, the entire car, driver and him included. It is a reminder to her that if he passes away, she will also pass away. She appears to be very unconcerned, as evident by her smile. Buruta, in a state of panic, asks the driver to stop the car. However, his hands and legs are frozen to the steering and accelerator, and as a result, the car falls off a cliff. Buruta has a dream about his past, in which he was a crybaby, and his older sister is attempting to transform him into a big and strong man. To sum it up, they were very close. Back to the present. He wakes up confused, unable to understand what has just happened. Setsuna asks him if he has any whiplash injuries, although he should be alright since the ice prevented him from being thrown out of the car. Buruta comes to his senses and asks her what she's doing, but stops at the sight of numerous bodies around them, killed by Setsuna and her ice. In order to eliminate Buruta, these were the mercenaries that they hired. They were well-trained soldiers, despite the fact that she attempted to capture some of them alive in order to obtain information from them, though she was not allowed to do that. As a result of the crash, they were forced to alter their original plan, which called for them to form a pincer attack with a detached force further ahead. It would have been problematic if things had gone according to that plan. Buruta notices that his driver Michael is lying dead in the car as a result of the accident. Setsuna tells him that Michael has been leaking information from them to the enemy. His eyes were constantly on that van which was following them, though he never told them about it. The expression on his face was almost a scream that it was a setup. He also had texts on his phone that demonstrated that he had an agreement with them. But Buruta does not believe such a thing. Indeed, Michael was more than just his driver. Since he was a child, he has been with him. They had both come from the same hometown. At times, they shared drinks together. They had a relationship that went beyond that of master and servant. It was almost as if they were Buruta's brother. It is impossible for them to know whether he did it for the money or because he was threatened. As she approaches him, she tells him that even if he had just woken up and is in a state of confusion, he is hopeless. This is a conflict between siblings that he started by killing Takeru. Additionally, while all of this is going on, his siblings are now surrounded by the chefs and waiters, who are pointing guns at them. This is because they are pursuing their own interests, and in order to do so, they will kill and rob each other without hesitation. Just a few moments ago, the young lady who is prepared to give up her rights to the succession is now running away towards the members of the waitstaff. Raiden is attacked by her yokai, as she moves out of the way before it can do so. This particular yokai, who goes by the name of Scrappy, possesses the ability to attach any object to his body in order to use it as his limbs. Nevertheless, Raiden executes a Kashimo move and is able to disassemble his left arm. For some reason, he gets extremely close to his ear and then makes an attempt to punch him from behind. When Scrappy kicks him, he stops what he was doing in order to stitch his face and eyes together. Then, he recalls that he's supposed to fight back, and as a result, he throws punches at Scrappy, causing him to be completely destroyed. When this happens, the waiters are reminded that they are armed with firearms and can be used to kill people. However, it is a little too late at this point. This is the body of the big yokai, which is transformed into whatever it is to use in endless growth. They are successful in getting rid of them. There would be no significant impact if even a few dead bodies were to fall onto the public road. At the end of the day, situations such as this are not a big deal in China. The taller man makes the decision that now is a good time to take in the view from the 41st floor of a hotel that was manufactured in China, where they had just come dangerously close to passing away. On the other hand, this is the moment where the crest that is located on Scrappy's chest begins to glow. He then explodes. It appears that Baruto was not lying when he stated that if the master dies, the yokai will also. Raiden is attempting to rile up his master now that he is aware of the fact that she has control over his life. However, she does not like men who have tattoos on their eyes and face, so it does not work. The large yokai makes an attempt to comfort him for being rejected, but Raiden misunderstands it as a mockery. Those who are outside are instructed to deal with the bodies. The master of the Raiden yokai gives the orders for the police to stay away from this location. In any case, that is now finished. Therefore, she begins to act as if she is Sherlock Holmes or something similar. She goes on to say things such as that she had never anticipated that Furuya would betray her. Setsuna tells Baruta that he was the one who upset the equilibrium by killing Narukawa Takeru, and that is allowed everyone to have a free hand. She believes that this is because she did not perceive her to be a snitch, and she believes that someone else is pulling the strings from the shadows, because he was the one who pulled the trigger. There is no turning back now. So he might as well take pleasure in watching this show. So as of right now, there are only 6 inheritors left after Furuya's passing. However, this number is going to change very soon. What did Abe mean by 2 creatures? As Tatari is heading to school, Kinugawa joins him, though Tatari is deep in his thoughts. If taken literally, it could mean there's another creature lurking in this class, or maybe in the school. Suddenly, Kinugawa smacks him in the back of his head, reminding him that he is hunching over again. The PE teacher is going to give him an earful. Tatari laughs it off. Then he thinks, no matter how hard one tries to skillfully mimic a human, if you are a monster, my sense of smell will always pick up on that. Perhaps my abilities are just like yours. If it's something that can alter genes at a fundamental level. Kinugawa notices something and gets Tatari's attention. Looks like the news cruise is back again. It's definitely about that infamous case, isn't it? The shocking series of young girls gone missing. However, Tatari would much rather hide from the news. As of recently, their lovely town of Sakumara City has seen young women mysteriously vanishing one after another. Although, Tatari couldn't care less about the whereabouts of the women. Though this town sure will, and that will make it stand out. And under no circumstances should the folks in Hong Kong find out that Tatari is still alive. Suddenly, Abe appears from behind, telling him that the first victim was a homeless man. About 6 months ago, a man's body was discovered in a certain forest park. The organs completely removed. Considering the situation, it was initially suspected to be the work of wild dogs, but the perpetrator, shunning the spotlight, continues to hunt in a way that leaves no trace of their victims. At first, they were focusing on victims that wouldn't attract much attention. As of today, 6 homeless individuals have gone missing. But recently, the crimes have taken a dark turn, targeting healthy, young women. This string of events caused the police to suspect that it's the same perpetrator. Kinugawa nonchalantly asks Abe why he is so stressed out. But Abe slaps him on the forehead with a spell, causing him to seize up as a result, prompting Tatari to ask Abe what the hell he is doing. To which he answers that he was simply in the way. So, you see, among the Onmyoji, this incident is considered the work of a yokai. Abe looks directly into Tatari and accuses him of being the problem here. To which Tatari nervously dismisses him. He then asks if this is the reason why they transferred him here. Abe answers that this is true, informing him that this infiltration is aimed at investigating the case and protecting the citizens. The Onmyoji have ties to political powers. They're entrusted with investigating and handling incidents caused by yokai, since the current laws can't handle them. Tatari comes to the conclusion that Abe thinks that he is a good comrade alone with the other yokai. So, if there are 2 yokai around, it's easy to get confused. Tatari wonders if he should ask him about the other yokai, but he's worried that Abe might think that it isn't on his side, which would escalate them into fighting even more, which might escalate to the news broadcasting that. Tatari's head spins as he tries to figure this whole thing out, as Abe's presence makes this much more complicated. Coming to his senses, Tatari asks Abe to use his eyes to see through the yokai, and demands him to hurry up and track the culprit down. But Abe explains to him that he can't tell the difference. It's not like he can actually see through walls. If the person is inside the inner sanctum or deep underground, or deep within the forest, he wouldn't be able to find them. Tatari understands, and asks him that if they manage to solve this supernatural occurrence, he wonders if he is planning to vanish from their school. Abe answers that as soon as the mission wraps up, he will be heading to HQ. Tatari thinks that having these TV folk around is a hassle. Then getting rid of this one too would be 2 birds with 1 stone. Actually, if another yokai is involved, then it would be a 3-bird deal. He then tells Abe that he will be lending him a hand. If his eyes can't see, then Tatari's nose can smell it. Actually, maybe not a hand, but rather a cat paw. Aoi, however, is hiding behind a pole, watching them talk. Distressed, she wants to walk to school with Tatari, but her nervousness won't let her get close. Her friend tells her that it's fine since they can still see each other in club activities. She then suggests to her to just casually strike up a conversation right now, like saying good morning, or what are you talking about, or I really like you, Takeru-kun. Aoi whimpers, replying that it's impossible, she can't do it. Her friend comments that although she's grown up so much, she still has a small heart. After that, Tatari and Abe are going for an investigation. Abe, suspicious of Tatari, asks him if he plans to ambush him. Annoying Tatari, between part-time jobs, school clubs, and taking care of Yuki, he can't afford the time for an ambush. When he was leaving her, he had to lie, telling her that he was out for a night shift, just so he could sneak out. Suddenly, they bump into 2 officers. Abe throws a spell at one of them right away. Tatari, nervous, carries Abe away so they don't cause any more commotion. Later, they arrive at the sewers by a river. Tatari, having sniffed the victim sent all the way here, wonders. By the riverside, in the waterway, a yokai that thrives by the water, extracting the innards, gathering to devour. Suddenly, Abe forcefully breaks the gate open. Could it be a kappa? They enter the sewers. Abe is already screwing around. Meanwhile, Takeru takes the job seriously. Due to the stinking nature of the sewers, Tatari can't follow the scent. But at least they figured out their hideout. And maybe they should request reinforcement from Abe's HQ right now. Tatari wonders if they should go with a manpower strategy to search for them, though Abe has disappeared. Tatari, greatly annoyed, wonders if he should just leave this all behind and head home. Since he can't smell a thing, he'll probably not even find a kappa by the end of the day. Well then, that is if it even is a kappa or not. Maybe this was all just a wild goose chase. Or maybe it wasn't. So fragile. Like a withered branch, they've been torn asunder. Weak. Both your spirit and your body. You are not enough. Not even worthy of the cursed insects of Kodoku. Pathetic. A giant kappa sleeps. It is then woken up by its grandchild. He points out that a ruckus is going on. He asks his granny if she has prepared a new liver yet. A fresh, youthful liver of a maiden, that is. Elsewhere, Tatari is enjoying beating each kappa, one after the other. He claps, destroying their eardrums with sound. The sweetness of nostalgia. I had long forgotten it. This sensation of trampling on the weak. Oh, this is so fun! What's the matter? What's the matter? I'm throwing down the gauntlet with the sport you all adore! Sumo! Show me some real guts! You dare challenge me? What did you say? Who do you think you are? Well, let me tell you, big guy, I'm not the one who's out of place here. I heard there's a hunter prowling in my territory, so I came to check it out. Only to find a den of lowly creatures who can't even speak my language. Even their leader. 200? Wait, you've been kicking around for 300 years, haven't you? But you're a real damaged goods here. One arm? Plus a few of your organs are smashed, huh? Did you lose a fight or something? How on earth have you managed to scrape by all this time? Beast souls. I've thrived by sipping the essence of my prey until this very day. But that's no longer enough. I crave the vibrant, living essence of a human. Unless I feast on one, survival is but a dream. Are we talking about the philosophy of curses here? I hear they call that plausible beasts these days, huh? With a body that massive, even if I devoured 5 or 6 humans, it wouldn't even be a snack. Oh, no worries. It's just a minor issue. Just one of those monsters could pack the strength of 100 men. I'll give you a warm welcome, you little brat. What's this? You're craving my blood? Not a chance. Takeru is all mine. Youth is nothing but a lack of experience. It's nothing more than a shallow mind. Is this all there is to the kappa that dwell here? In this forgotten underground waterway, crafted by urban development, my children have formed numerous colonies, you see. You are no longer just a mouse in a bag. No, perhaps more like a cat. Oh, there you are. Your voice is way too loud and obnoxious. The fact that you're loud means it's a real nuisance, you know. Hey, if it hadn't been for Takeru, I would have put you 6 feet under for wandering off like that. So, what did you gather from your solo adventure? Is the missing person just lost in thought, or what? Yeah, I found someone. Deep within their lair, 6 bodies of men, stripped of their insides, 3 young women. The remains ravaged and discarded. This wraps up the investigation. From this point onward, it's an annihilation battle. Huh. All of you. I'll cleanse you. Got it. The pressure here is way more intense than when we clashed. Are you furious because one of your kind was killed? You! Those eyes! That horror, that scent! 10 years ago, he tore my arm apart! Is that the man's offspring? 10 years ago. Not even worthy of the venomous worms. In the near future, it will take place. The inheritance battle in Hong Kong. As the one who embodies the might of Narikawa Take, you can't even call yourself a yokai. You're unworthy. Not
not one but twice! You dare tread on my domain! Do you seek to steal everything from me? You only algae! I shall never forgive you!
Huh? What are you saying?
Secrets of secrets!
What the heck is this? Well, I've been around for 300 years, haven't I? You know what they say. Better than a turtle shell, right? No, not a turtle, but rather, a kappa then. The ace up the sleeve. Years upon years, a talented spirit can reach its peak. The pinnacle of sorcery, quite literally. It is the ultimate technique. Granny Kappa unleashes the arcane with a flourish. Driven not by mere desire, the descendant of the Onmyoji, Abe, embarks on a quest through the sewers to vanquish the lurking yokai. This ignites a fierce battle with a formidable Kappa. This Kappa, with deep ties to this duo, unleashes its secret weapon, the curse. And behold, the lair of the Kappa awaits. The attack hits even the underlings. Abe, noticing that these kinds of beasts are the most troublesome, says, "In school, in the waterways, in tight spaces, it's this. I really don't want to use it though. Well, you see, I've had enough of holding back and losing. The warrior who stands ready. The fighter." That's quite a rough ace up your sleeve. My skills just aren't sharp enough yet. But hey, it's just a secret weapon. We've got to match their intensity after all. With rage and resentment fueling their focus, the onslaught aimed at the Onmyoji intensified, instinctively shifting into the state of threat detection. Just a mere 300 years. Don't get cocky for living that long.
Damn it, you little brat! That last strike made me grasp your words, whether I wanted to or not. Perhaps he has lived far longer than I could ever imagine. But why? Why? I am aging. You manage to stay so youthful.
Tatari, sorry about always getting you those cheap fish. I'll grab some meat once I get in, okay? Just wait for me. Way better than some human liver, that's for sure. Maybe it's because I've treated you to something nice.
Oh, how I wish to be like that.
Battle in the underground waterway. Behold, the mighty Tatari, Kappa of the Great River. Shoshiya versus the victor, Tatari. That thing is your trump card? I mean, like, doing this with your hands. Ha ha ha! Is that divine retribution? You must be kidding! She was just a scratch post. My trump card is way more epic. Wow. So that means you really do have a trump card. I once toppled an entire nation with my trump card. 1,000 years ago. That's close. You're rambling too much. What's wrong? Come on, spill the beans. Your secret weapon. Are you kidding me? This is my secret weapon, you know. Long ago in the capital of Kyoto, the terrifying great yokai emerged. Tatari, a fearsome beastly cat, was revered and dreaded. Come on, tell me. Depending on the danger level of the ability, it could happen right here and now. Reanimation of the deceased. Resurrection of the dead. Those who have departed. Their prowess is unmatched. My body is woven with spells, a mystical binding that enables me to fight with extraordinary skill. I can bring the dead back to life. This is my secret weapon. Huh? Just kidding, though. There's no way that could happen. Not a chance. Humans and spirits alike, whether it's a cat or a spoon. When you die, that's the end of the line. No coming back. Isn't it a truth even a kid could grasp? That's absurd. Impossible. Have you been cleverly led astray? But what if? Just what if? If you could twist even that truth, that's definitely a power that could topple nations. Well, whatever. Just you wait. This is my trump card. If you push them into a corner where they have no choice but to use it in battle, you'll see it naturally, won't you? Speaking of which, I still can't figure out if the other one was a Kappa. Well, at this rate, it doesn't really matter, does it? Since the Kappa are completely wiped out. With this, the Onmyoji will be no more. After all, the Kappa have been wiped out. The Kappa are gone for good. Just 5 more minutes. A small hand slapped Kinagawa's face, waking him up regardless. What's going on? Wake me gently, okay? Though, looking right back at him, is a Kappa. This situation seems to be a lot more ordinary than we're being led on. 1 year ago, that fateful summer, Kinagawa crossed paths with a Kappa. The Kappa, noticing that he was a human being, went for the attack, but he really did nothing. Kinagawa tries his best to understand the situation. He decides to take this Kappa home with him. His parents take an intense look at him before they deduce that it is indeed a Kappa. They weren't sure what to do with him, or whether they should contact the police, but the dad, who runs a sushi shop, told them to calm down as it's clear to him as it is clear as day. He's decided that with this stroke of luck, he's going to become a YouTuber, with the channel name Kappa Sushi TV. Having a real Kappa roll sushi is going to go viral. This annoyed the mother, who was surprised that he's already planning on riding the Kappa wave. He replied that he's also going to make some cute rain stickers, but she told him to get right back to sushi making. She offers a cucumber to the Kappa and wonders if he even eats cucumbers. The Kappa accepts it and wonders what it is, surprising the mother in the process. He tells her that he's only ever eaten bugs. He then takes a bite. The Kappa is floored with the immaculate taste. It's nothing like he's ever had before. This flusters the mother as she yoinks the Kappa, wanting to be this little guy's mom. Kinagawa, exasperated, reminds her that she is his mother. When this baby Kappa was born, its mother, the grandmother, considered him a grotesque being, one with parts unnaturally developed. His head is abnormally large. His brain is more advanced than the others. Yes, he can understand words, but his body is small. From his very bones, he won't grow. Those who cannot hunt do not have a place in his mother's nest. She decided to throw him away. The baby Kappa naturally didn't want to be abandoned, so he offered to do anything. His mother then asked him to bring her a human's previous essence, informing him that she consumes the essence of beasts for health. She can't do that on her own to avoid the Onmyoji. Now, all the baby Kappa needs to do is gather the essence and return to the pack. It's fundamentally impossible. After all, he would so easily get caught and killed before he would achieve anything like that. He walks away from the sewers, but then notices Kinagawa, a human. This story saddens the mother, though Mr. SushiToon notices that the banishment trend is definitely losing steam. The little guy goes on to say that he can't go home unless he snags a human soul. He demands that the hand went over already. Kinagawa complains briefly. The dad presents him the phone after looking up soul, and there are plenty of theories out there. They've got livers, after all. The little guy wants to reaffirm again. The organs, hopeful. Kinugawa shows him the phone. This surprises the poor little guy. He stumbles, dropping the phone. He nearly falls over. He's definitely in a state of shock. Kinugawa informs him that at this rate, he's gonna get kicked out of the pack. He thinks for a moment. Got nowhere to go? Why not crash in my place? He turns to his mom and apologizes for just blurting that out. He double checks, asking if that's even allowed. His mom, flustered, is totally on board with everything he wants to do, as well as the dad. He suggests that they create a family channel. Kinugawa asks the Kappa about his name. The Kappa doesn't even know what a name is, though the dad interjects, suggesting the name Sanpei. Sanpei and Kinugawa start taking baths together. They eat together, play video games together, making them very similar to siblings. Sanpei would often use his body wash, and Kinugawa would get mad about it. Sanpei would steal Kinugawa's food, doodle on his notebook, steal his clothes, and he would run away. Kinugawa would yell at Sanpei, and he would always run to his mother for comfort. Kinugawa goes to his father to ask him about this. His father tells him that he's all giddy because he has a big brother now. It's just like when the younger brother tries to imitate the older brother. Sometimes he just wants attention, so he can't help but tease him. And finding that annoying is just a quirk of sibling life. Kinugawa might not get it, since he's an only child, but that's how it goes. However, this dad is also an only child, to which he tells him that everything he said comes straight from his mother, of which she is the youngest of 5 siblings, you know. The dad proceeds to get a beating after that. Kinugawa heads out to school, and Sanpei seizes this opportunity. He hides in a box as he follows Kinugawa to school. Kids proceed to beat the box that Senpai is hiding in for fun. Kinugawa quickly intervenes. This is not the time for a disaster. He puts them in his bag and they head to school. Sanpei notices all of the kids are about the same age. Kinugawa tells him not to even think about coming out. He means it. Sanpei asks why they're all wearing the same outfit. Kinugawa explains that it's just courtesy for those with terrible fashion sense. During class, Sanpei watches the other students. He almost drowns. He gets hit by a basketball. He makes noises from inside the bag during class as he overheats. And by the end of the day, both of them are absolutely exhausted. Abe, though, wonders why there is a yokai around. Back at Kinugawa's house, he tells his parents about the presence of an onmyoji at his school. He's come there to deal with some yokai. Though on the TV, there's a news report about a girl gone missing from Sakura, a city, which worries the mother, father, and Kinugawa. The father tells Kinugawa to make sure that he and his mom stay safe on their way back, and Kinugawa answers that his mom isn't exactly a young girl, so she should be fine, right? That right there earned him another beating. Remember when Kinugawa got slapped in the face with a spell? And Abe had detected a yokai nearby? Yeah, all of that was caused by this little guy right here. In the spring, the high school track and field club. They have morning practice, even on Saturdays. The track coach, Chico, is squeezing Takeru's leg, noticing that his form is absolutely ridiculous, yet he's somehow faster than anyone else, so she can't complain. Tatari thanks her and asks why she's been touching his legs this whole time, to which she answers that she's a bit of a fetishist. Aoi heads to fix and put back the sport equipment, though suddenly, a hand reaches from behind her and snatches her. She falls on the ground as she looks up. A tall man is staring back at her. He's awfully mean-looking, with long blonde hair. Annoyed, she tells him not to come talk to her at school. It's her big brother, Roha. He asks her to spill the beans. Confused, she doesn't know what he's talking about. He laughs it off as he clarifies himself. Though Takeru pops up out of nowhere, that thing just swooped in and snatched the regular spot in a flash. It must have been Aoi who brought him in. Aoi, realizing the situation, clarified that she was just impressed with his speed during the fitness test, and that's why. He grabs her by the chin. Is that all you've got? No way, Ro. A girl like you who's not fond of men. You've got a crush on that guy, don't you? Aoi slaps his hand away from him and calls him a creep.
What are you doing, step bro?
He vows not to let that scumbag off the hook, asking her if they really can't trust him. He squeezes her arm and hurts her. He whispers in her ear, "Do you really know anything about that guy? Tatari suddenly appears out of nowhere, asking about her. He asks if she's okay. He heard a loud noise. Flustered, she tells him not to worry. Everything is all good. She pushes him out as this place is too dangerous. As they are leaving, she teases her brother, annoying him in the process. Once out, Aoi's head is literally on fire from embarrassment. She's so nervous to be alone with Takeru-kun that her mind went blank, wanting to spark up the conversation, though nothing came out. She notices the box that he's carrying and asks him about it, to which he replies that it's just a worm. She freaks out, asking him why, and he answers that it seems his little sister needs it for her summer research project. It's hard to find so much around these parts. He wondered if there was a good place somewhere. She thinks for a moment and tells him that in the back of the mountain would be a good spot, since that place is the most natural around, though she warns him to be careful. In the mountains over there are wild animals, such as stray rabbits, sugar gliders, civet cats, and chipmunks. Senpai feels hopeless, incapable of shaking off this unease off of his shoulders. If those pesky kappa are really out there attacking people, one day, Kinugawa and the others might be in danger too. He absolutely cannot let anything like that happen. But he can't talk to anyone about it, for fear of being judged by Kinugawa. He has to handle this all on his own. He plans to gather plenty of the sacred jewels from beasts, or so he thinks. After all, he was cast out from the pact because he couldn't hunt. The great witch's words rang through his head, about whether he really is at the limit of his capabilities. Though he remembers that he is much smarter than the rest, his body is lacking in prowess, though he will compensate with his wit and ingenuity. He sets up a trap. A rabbit comes along and starts to eat. Poof! He catches it. He approaches the downed rabbit, looks intensely at it. After all, everyone has to take a life to survive. This isn't inherently wrong. This is to protect what he holds dear. He has to take this rabbit's life. It's just the way it is. He looks deep into the rabbit's glowing eye. Tears gather from the tips of his eyelashes. He looks once more into the rabbit's eye. It's impossible. He can't do it. He's scared. He lets the rabbit go. At this rate, he can't stop his grandma from going all out. He wonders what he can do. The rabbit, though, eventually circles back and comes back and sits by his side. Suddenly, a stray dog appears. He growls at them. The two scream out in fear as the dog goes out for the attack. Though rapidly, Tatari kicks the dog away, surprising himself in the process. He apologizes to the dog. After all, it was just a reflex. He's got no fond memories with any dog. Sanpei watches Tatari as he walks away, remembering that he's from the same class as Kinugawa. He thanks Tatari for saving him, though Tatari can't believe that he's still left one survivor out there. Whew! He grabs him from the face and lifts him up, calling the kappa a real headache. He can't let this one get away, especially because he doesn't want Abe to return after already finishing his mission. Sanpei is surprised at Tatari's power. Tatari apologizes for what he is about to do. Would you kindly drop dead? Elsewhere, Kinugawa is on the phone with his dad. He's been searching for Sanpei everywhere, but he hasn't found him. His mom's home, yes, though if he goes back and misses him, then that would be a complete disaster. To cut to the chase in 30 minutes, Sanpei would be found. But when Sanpei would be returned to him, he was stiff, like a puppet with no strings. Sorry, but it's just business. Would you kindly drop dead? Sanpei lets out a noise as he gets squished. Tatari stops in his tracks. He recalls his earlier conversation with Kinugawa. After all, a charming man captivates with his scent, right? Tatari sniffs him. He recognizes the sweet fragrance of body wash, just like the one Kinugawa uses. Sanpei is missing. Sanpei is on a quest to gather Shida Kodama, driven by the fear of a kappa attack that could endanger Kinugawa and the rest of his family. Though, wait, isn't that a bit too human for him? What is going on here? He's been staying at Kinugawa's house, though Tatari sees things differently. A kappa at Kinugawa's house. A petite little creature. A size that seems to fit right into a bag. Were you sneaking around school or something? Well, sometimes he stows away in Kinugawa's backpack. It clicks into Tari's mind.
Ah, you're the one they call another one!
This is the second yokai. He knocks him out and decides to go dive to gather more information. The two went back to the sewers to find the police taking out the corpses of the victims, their families crying. Tatari informed Sanpai that there were a ton of Kappa inside, along with the great Baba. No doubt about it, the Kappas have been all wiped out. Or rather, he killed them himself. The bald man next to them asks what this is all about, to which Tatari answers that this is just a doll. The old man interjects, inquiring if whether or not it was talking just a moment ago. Though Tatari, the deceptive liar, answers that he is a ventriloquist. The old man finds that quite amazing. Tatari notices a couple of guys. They're certainly not your everyday kind, are they? Are they part of the Onmyoji? They must be the ones that come to clean up the corpses of yokai, so the ordinary folks don't lay eyes on them. This guy looks up at to where Tatari is, though Tatari has already vanished. As Tatari is carrying Sanpai, he concludes that this should mean that he is his sworn enemy for wiping out his entire clan. He asks him if he is ready to fight for their vengeance, though he denies this offer, knowing that he would end up dead, as well as mention that he might be the worst of the worst. He's actually relieved, having lost all his friends, and especially more than anything else, that old Granny Baba has kicked the bucket. This way, Kinugawa and the others won't be in danger anymore. Crying, he feels a deep sigh of relief about that. Maybe he's just a heartless friend who can't even mourn for his fallen comrades. Tatari wonders if this is really something you would say while shedding so many tears. He wonders what to do about Sanpai. He might attract the Onmyoji. Maybe it would be better just to end it all. Understanding that Sanpai cares about Kinugawa. But what about the opposite? What does Kinugawa think of him? Sanpai answers that he doesn't really know, labeling himself as just a freeloader. Suddenly, Kinugawa appears, sweating and tired from all of this running. He asks Sanpai what he's doing out here, then notices Takeru. He tries to tell him that what he's holding isn't a kappa or anything, though he wonders if it's a very good idea to be lying about him in the first place. Tatari, noticing Kinugawa's reaction, deduces that he does care about him. He decides to give it back to him, labeling Sanpai as a stuffed animal. Though in the blink of an eye, Tatari holds up Sanpai back to his face as he mutters, "Hey, let's chat. If you move, I'll kill you. If you talk, I'll kill you. If you spill my secrets, you're dead meat." He hands him the supposed stuffed animal. But before that, he tells him that this was something he was thinking of gifting to his little sister. He asks that if it isn't too much trouble, this is something that he could have. Though if this thing means the world to Kinugawa, he guesses that he could let him have it. Kinugawa flusters hesitatingly. No way. That... Oh... They mean the world to me. They're my previous family. Please give them back. Sanpai starts to cry. Everything becomes awkward. He throws Sanpai towards Kinugawa. Tatari tells him that if it's something precious, then he should keep it close to him, as to not lose it again. Kinugawa thanks him and starts to make his way back home. Sanpai mutters under his breath that he's sorry, and Tatari watches him closely, remembering his relationship with Takeru. He tries to laugh it off. This is the first time in his life where he starts to envy someone else. The three-headed crow appears and apologizes for interrupting his little sentimental moment. Tatari tells him that he isn't feeling sentimental at all, but the crow is quite the expert at picking up on those little subtle hints, you know? After all, he's got 3 eyes, and 3 heads to go with those eyes. They annoy Tatari. He presents them with a box of worms, asking what it is they're after. They take the box and he tells them about the well-being of Yuki, and her condition, if it's changed at all. They reassure him, telling him that there's no issues on that front, at home and on her way to school. They've got crows keeping an eye out, and nothing unusual has been detected so far. They ask if he's worried about the Hong Kong Mafia, and inform him that they haven't found any contact with the yokai. Tatari acknowledges this, and asks them that they keep the surveillance going, and to report anything out of the ordinary immediately. Speaking of which, they inform him it was something strange earlier today. A human and a yokai were walking together, hand in hand, all chummy-like. Tatari asks them if they're talking about Kinugawa and the Kappa. Tatari interrupts them, saying that this was some high school boy, and they shouldn't worry about that right now. But what they saw wasn't a high school boy. Well, the thing was, this person was a little elementary school kid. Tatari asks if the yokai was a Kappa. No, there was no plate on his head, though there was the bone of a wild boar. The yokai and the girl arrive at their destination, the birthplace of Takeshi Narukawa. The kid is the inheritor of the legacy, the fifth son, Koniyaru, and his loyal yokai, Beriko. 3 days after the Kappa extermination. It was a Monday, the headquarters of Onmyoji. Inside, someone is on their knees. They speak of their previous mission. All 86 Kappa have been successfully eradicated. The mission is accomplished. From the shadowy realm of Onmyoji, Abe no Seigo stands before him, questioning him. He asks, at the moment he pinpointed their lair, why did he not request reinforcements from HQ? Haruka replies, I was frantic, considering the possibility of missing persons still alive. Every second counting in this desperate race against time. Seigo asks if that is the sole reason. According to the report, it is said that when he entered the den, there was an anomaly lurking by. Haruka spoke. I did enlist the help of a yokai. How dare you, an Onmyoji, resort to the foul hands of a wretched spirit? I never thought you'd soil your name in such a way. Haruka kneels before stating that he deemed it necessary to muddy the waters for greater results. He looks up and adds that he has a question of his own. He mentioned of the great Kappa who, 10 years ago, was said to have faced the head of the family. It boasted of having its arm severed. Yet, after inflicting such grave wounds, this creature was allowed to live. As for their illustrious head of the family, their creed is clear. When faced with a yokai, exercise without question. With capabilities that are simply outstanding, this escaped one deftly employs spells and the unique yokai binding cord to battle, weaving the cursed sigils throughout their body. Quite the conundrum. There must be some ulterior motive at play. Seigo interrupts him. I know nothing of such yokai. Didn't I teach you to ignore the whims of yokai? First of all, stop dodging the issue. Right now. It's about your connection with that yokai. Understood. I'll take them down. In the name of the Onmyoji, I shall handle it personally. So please inform those watching and the nearby Onmyoji, my father. Do not lay a hand on my prey.